Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Bodybuilding Mountain. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about wrist positioning during the bench press. Now, I've had lots of people, and it's been mostly beginners, people who don't really understand the dynamics of forces during an exercise, and they just read their little instruction booklets and say, hey, if you just do an exercise in full range and lock out your joints and come all the way down, that's perfect form, and that's what you're supposed to do because you're a good little boy, right? That's kind of the type of trolling I get. I get people that are beginners, so they have absolutely no results, right? And then they criticize what I'm doing. So what I'm going to say is, when it comes down to wrist positioning during bench press, a lot of people give me flack because my hands are in this position. I have no idea why that's a problem, right? Because they're saying, oh, that's hard on the wrist and stuff. But actually, I've been doing this for 35 years. It isn't hard on the wrist because the bar is right on the wrist, right? I put my thumb around the bar, right? It's right around the wrist. Now, I don't know if these guys troll the big time powerlifter guys who basically do the suicide grip, because these guys have their hand in the same position, because obviously they won't be able to put their hand in a fist position, right? Because if they did, the bar would just roll right out if they have a suicide grip. I don't know if they're giving these guys flack, but for some reason, when I do it, you know, it's an issue. So I'm going to be very specific about this. When you do a push-up, what position is your hand in? Nobody seems to give anybody flack about that, right? Your hand is in this flat position, right? It's where most of the weight is the consideration. So if your weight is on the palm and not on the hand, like over here, then you should be fine. There's no issue with the hand being bent back. It's absolutely a non-issue. So I have bench pressed like that my whole life. I just, grip the bar, make sure the bar is over top of the wrist. No strain on the wrist whatsoever, no problem. You see a lot of guys on the internet, they're wearing the little wrist straps and stuff. Never ever had to. I've never had to wear any sort of tensor bandages or any of that sort of stuff. So really, in the end, this oversimplification of technique is really annoying, because I find a lot of people, they have a tendency to just prejudge what you're doing instead of just take what you're doing on faith and assume that you're doing it for a reason because it works, right? So maybe some of the techniques I do might not work for your body type, or maybe you have to be super, like, maybe you've got like really limp wrists or something, and you got to be really careful with whatever you do. I mean, when you're carrying flowers, maybe if the flower's too heavy, your wrist just snaps off. Like, I don't know what kind of wrists you got. Oh wow, what a pretty flower. I'm gonna have to pick this and bring it home. It's so heavy. That was rough on the wrist. How do guys do this? You know what I mean? But me, I've never had that issue. So,
Enter gratuitous product infomercial.
Do you have this problem? Are you a limp-wristed bastard? Well, I got the solution for you. It's called the exercise stick. Just grab 1 or 2 or 15 of these sticks off my website at $1,995, and you could start doing wrist exercises today. So that way you don't become a limp-wristed bastard. Mountain. But just because, somebody might have that issue, weak wrists or some sort of issue, doesn't mean everybody has that, And the other thing I want you to realize too is that sometimes if you're having wrist issues, it's because one of the bones in your wrist is out of place. And it's actually really easy to adjust. It's like, you can take your fingers like this, just go loose, and then wiggle it around, and sometimes you'll actually just wiggle the metatarsals right back into place, and then there's no jamming problem, no issue, very simple. And some chiropractors, they'll do these metatarsal type of manipulations or whatever, but in the end, I've never had any wrist issues. So yeah, wrist positioning. If you are getting some wrist pain, maybe you need to go into more of a punching motion, like maybe you have to have your thumb, make sure your thumb is wrapped around the bar though, if you're gonna do that. Maybe you need to have your wrist more straight or something, or make sure that the bar's not over this part of your palm, but over the palm itself, right above the wrist. Very simple, and then you should be okay. I mean, if that's what's causing your issue, then you should be okay. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that. It's so heavy. That was rough on the wrist. I hope this helps out in your training. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalbodybuilding.com. And yeah, thanks to the Patreon supporters, and take care for now.
Dynamite! Shut up, JJ.